Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
So today we're doing our review on 2025's Bloat.
So a non-spoiler synopsis about the film. We follow a mother and two sons vacationing in Japan. Their youngest son almost drowns in a lake, and soon after the accident, the parents realize there's something terribly wrong with the boy. So the dad is not around. He's not in the picture because he's part of the military. So that's why most of this movie takes place through laptop. Through FaceTime, through Zoom, through Skype. And we're going to talk about that and much more in the positives and negatives and the spoilers of the film. So for now, let's get to the positives.
So some of the positives, the family seems really genuine. The cast is amazing. I really like them as a unit, as a family. They really seem like they loved each other.
Yeah. I also love the use of glitches in the computer screen. I feel like it's really effective to know when someone's possessed, when someone isn't possessed. And I think it really, in a way that this is shot, it's really hard to be up in your face about certain things.
Yeah.
But they really nailed it with the glitches.
Yeah, absolutely. As a parent, watching your kid need help and you can't do anything about it, and it's just like this hopeless feeling. So just like watching him, and you just know that he feels like he wants to do something. He's constantly buying things on Amazon and sending things over, and it's just like that's all he can do. And
they won't give him a leave of absence.
Yeah, he can't physically be there, which is crazy. His son drowned, and something bad happened with him, like in the military. But like his son drowned, and he can't have a leave of absence to even go see his kid. So
it sucks.
Yeah.
This is a movie that up until the end really keeps you on the edge of your seat. You're constantly wondering, is this playing out really the way that they're making it seem?
Yeah. Is
this something that's all going on in their heads? Is like, you don't really know for sure what's going on until the third act. And I think that they set it up very nicely. They set it up very nicely. They don't give away too much in the first and second act. So when the third act explodes, it explodes.
And there's a good lore. It's original. It's this take on possession that we really haven't seen a lot of. So it's a very original movie, in my opinion. And
you could call this a found footage film. Like I said, I know it's a new wave of found footage, like with the screen time of like Zoom and Skype and stuff like that was popularized by Host and Unfriended and those type of movies. So I've never really been a huge fan of these type of movies.
But if you can go through screens and it can keep you entertained, then I feel like it did its job. So it definitely kept me entertained, throughout the entire movie. Even him looking things up and doing the search engine stuff like that.
Trying to help from afar.
Yeah.
And like I said, when done well, it is awesome. When it's not done well, it's bad. Yeah. So we talked about the positives. We just talked about how when it's not done well, it's bad. So let's get right into the negatives.
So some of the negatives, so we talked about how they did it well through screens, just like Unfriended and searching.
Megan is, or just missing, not Megan is missing, I'm sorry, missing.
Yeah, and although we enjoyed that, it might be hard for people to keep interest with it, just because it is a lot of screen time and really not much else.
So if this isn't really your type of movie, it's not going to break any ground for you. It has more of what I hate in horror movies and the cliche scenes that are weird just for the sake of being weird, that don't bring anything to the table. That's one of my biggest horror cliches that I can't stand. It's up there with a fake out ending.
Yeah.
Like I don't like it. You can add it to the story if you want and make it make sense, but don't be weird just for the sake of being weird.
Ryan is not the guy that I'm going to send to look after my family.
Isn't he the guy that broke beer cans on his head?
Yeah, and him, and he's finally there, and he's yelling like he's a party boy, and like he just doesn't seem like this mission is serious to him, and you're sending him over there because your family is potentially in danger, and it just seems like he was the wrong choice, especially how much money he gave him to go over there, so yeah.
Well, and you guys know, like I said, I hate fake outs.
Yeah.
I hate weird for being weird, but there's something else I really hate too. That's fade outs. And in a movie like this, you don't need any fade outs.
You absolutely don't. You can go from screen to screen.
You could transition it so perfectly without the use of fade outs, and they used it way too many times in this movie. And to me, that's just lazy editing. I think that there's a different way we can go from point A to point B without the use of a fade out.
The shaky cam at the end of the movie will drive you crazy. That's one of the things that I'm not, I don't love.
And I think the reason they did it is to hide what's happening. We're not going to talk about it yet, but
Yeah,
you don't see a lot of what's happening.
I get that. And that was one thing that really drove me crazy in Cloverfield, too. The shaky cam, like, it almost makes me feel like, I don't know, like dizzy or like, I don't
Nauseous.
like that at all.
Yeah. And I gotta say, this movie has such an anticlimactic conclusion. I was so bummed at the ending of this movie.
When a movie ends and you look at each other like,
I thought they were doing another fade out.
yeah,
Going to another
and then
scene.
it was just done, and the credits are rolling,
The most
and it's just like
really? It brought down the overall score of the film for us.
Yeah.
So those are some of our non-spoiler positives and negatives. The film is available now on VOD as well as in select cinemas. So please go and check it out. For now, we're going to get into our spoilers.
All right, guys, we are going to start spoiling the movie. So it starts with Jack and Hannah. They lost one of their babies. It's really traumatic and sad. You really feel for them. Yeah, at birth, the baby doesn't make it.
Yeah. So Jack is supposed to go on leave to go to Tokyo with Hannah and the boys, but because American bases in the Middle East are attacked, he's not allowed leave. Which they had been planning this vacation to try to get, the boys together with him and try to
just be a family unit.
Have a
and
family
kind of,
vacation.
like put this loss behind them, even though I don't think that's something you can ever put behind you, but just like to be a family unit and to get away from the States and just try to,
be together.
So they still go, the boys and Hannah still go to Tokyo, and this is where Kyle almost drowns while they're in Tokyo.
Yeah. A very scary scene. She's on the phone with Jack when it happens. He's like, "What's happening? What's happening?"
Which that's another like you don't know what's
Super
going
anxiety.
on, like, and nobody's answering you, and I couldn't handle that. Like it would make me crazy.
Well, Kyle, after the accident, is a completely different kid. He acts different. His taste in food is different. Just everything about him is totally different after the drowning accident.
So we do find out that it takes place in the same universe as Unfriended, which is really awesome. You see a clip of the Laura Barnes suicide case.
Which, when Jack is looking through trying to find, common things, that's what he stumbles upon is the boy from Unfriended that puts his hand in the blender.
Right.
And we're watching it. I was like, hey, I know that movie.
Yeah.
That was a cool little tie-in.
It really is cool that they tied those in together.
Yeah. Steve sets cameras up all around the house. Steve is Kyle's older brother. And Jack tells him, I want you to set these cameras up so I can kind of watch and see what's going on. Not like he's not like untrusting. He's genuinely trying to figure out what's going on with his kid.
Yeah.
So he wants to figure out why Kyle's acting so weird because Steve's even worried about him. Big brother's worried. So this is what Jack does. I can watch from afar with these cameras in the house.
Yeah, and Mom is kind of like delusional. Like, he almost drowned.
She's gone through so much shit.
Yeah, she's really doing this all by herself because unfortunately he can't be there to help her with this. Yeah. So they end up going to a monk, and he says that it's a kappa that is possessed. So he's
his kid's possessed by a kappa now.
Right. So he is the keeper of lakes and rivers. So they live in the lakes and rivers, and when he drowned, that's when he was able to take over. And he swallows his soul, and if that does happen, there will be no saving him.
Yeah, his body will be there, but his soul will not.
Yeah, so he'll just be.
So Jack's literally talking to a monk through the screen with Ryan holding the screen, talking to these monks, and Jack finds another case where the father set his house on fire and burned the son to death to save his soul.
Yeah, so you find out that because it's water, like the other element that kills it, I guess, is
fire.
Fire, yeah.
The most cliche thing ever.
But, I mean, hey, it works. And then Ryan...
They're sitting there like...
Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. How can we use that?
Right. So Ryan, the most trustworthy guy, he tries to hunt the Kappa, and he's like, it's no big deal. Like, I got this. I'll have this thing killed before dinner. Yeah, no. The Kappa,
It gets Ryan.
It gets Ryan, yeah.
And Jack is watching this because the night vision goggles that Ryan has on, Jack's tapped into through the camera. So he's literally watching his friend die because of this Kappa.
Which the goggles are glitching, obviously, because stuff like that glitches when it's around. And it's like, you can't really see what it is completely.
So at this point, Jack says, fuck it. I'm not going to wait for my leave. I'm just going to take off to go to Tokyo. And when he leaves, he gets the call like, this is a dishonorable discharge. Like, you're in a lot of fucking trouble, dude.
Yeah. And so then we get this weird scene of Hannah. She's like in the bathtub and the service is glitching, and it's obviously she's possessed as well.
It's an indication that she's been possessed.
She's like laughing, and there's this like earwig like climbing on the wall, and she's laughing about it, and it's just it's a really weird scene.
For Kappa, bugs are drawn to the Kappa.
Yeah.
Like the young son Kyle, like now he just eats parts of like vegetables like cucumbers and leaves them under his bed for the bugs to come and get him.
He just gnaws on them.
Yeah.
Like it's a
so they never come out and say that she's possessed, but when he's watching her, like when he's talking to her, it's glitching. So the Kappa's obviously there.
Yeah.
Well, then he gets back to the house. He finally gets there. After all this time, Jack finally gets there. And he finds her dead in the bathtub.
Yeah.
No cause of death. No death on screen. She's just dead.
She's dead, so he ends up setting the house on fire. Kyle and Steve survive, and Jack gets arrested, obviously, for attempted murder.
And now, here's the worst ending ever.
Yeah, we get this ending with them, like, in a courtroom, and, Kyle is still possessed, and they're all back in the States, and he ends up saying he loves his dad on the stand, and as you can just tell, like, and that's it. Like, you can tell that nothing...
Well, the last time that the camera sees him, it glitches again.
Yeah.
So you know that he's still possessed, but it's literally like, you see... you see Jack sitting there and he's crying because he's being charged, and he's like, no, my dad was always nice to me and I love my daddy. And then it ends. That's just the end of the movie right there. And it's such a bummer ending because leading up, like, this was a roller coaster, like the whole time. It tick, 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 tick. You can hear the ticking underneath you, and then you go over that first hill and you get that third act of him setting the house on fire and trying to kill his son, which he doesn't. Obviously, the son makes it out alive. But then they just end it there. Like, I love my daddy. Boop. It's over.
That's it, yeah.
Absolutely no closure.
What happens, like, this, is he for sure still possessed? Like, is Jack going to prison for the rest of his life?
I mean, honestly, if this was set up for a sequel, then yeah, this is a cool ending. As of right now, with this, as far as we know, going to be a standalone film. But then again, you had Searching and Missing, which came out years apart from each other, which were sequels. So, I mean, we could get another version of Bloat out there. Or they could do another tie-in like they did with Unfriended, which, again, I wouldn't mind. But as of the time of recording, I hate this ending. And because there's so many things that don't make sense. Like, one, why would the Kappa possess Hannah just to kill her in the bathtub? Like, he's possessed all these other people and didn't leave their bodies until he was burned or whatever. Why wouldn't he try to possess Ryan? Why does he just kill Ryan? Like, what is the motivation of this Kappa? Like, there's a lot of questions like that I feel you don't get answered. So, and like I said, there's a lot of underlying things we also didn't talk about. There's a lot of talk about addiction throughout the movie. Some pretty cool scenes with some drones, that happened throughout the movie. But overall, I would give this probably a 3 out of 5. Before I saw the ending. Once I saw the ending, this dropped down to probably a 2.25 out of 5. The ending brought it down that much. I had such a good ride until the end of this movie. The end really, really bummed me out because of how much I like the rest of it.
I'm just going to stick with a 3, even with the ending. Like I said, I really liked the family unit. I thought all the actors were really great. Even the kid actors, they did a great job. And just the use of technology and stuff like that. It's so like this. It's so for the time, and they're doing something different. So
well, see, I think we're in the minority that really did like Unfriended. I know that's not a popular opinion. I really, really liked Host. Mm-hmm. I thought that was good.
Host was amazing. I loved
Yeah.
Host.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I think this can be done well, and this movie was done really well for the way that it did. Until it stopped being found footage and you got to the end of in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Like, that's where this movie fell apart to me.
I just feel like the rest of it was, like you said, such like this roller coaster ride, and then it was just like
Such a
on
letdown.
Flatland. Like it was so underwhelming.
So, like, to me, the way that this movie ends is, you know, he's still possessed and he's back in the States, which is what he wanted. They talked earlier in the movie about how it would want to travel.
Yeah.
It would want to make
now
its way over here.
It's possible that.
But why is he trying to keep his dad out of jail? Why is he trying to still be with his dad and Steve? You know, does this, you know, because of the family unit, is he trying to infect the rest of the family? Is this Kappa trying to spread? Which, again, doesn't make sense to me because he killed Hannah. You know, the Kappa killed Hannah. So why wouldn't it have left her alive, possessed inside of her? This is a very hard movie to explain. I tried to think about how we could, you know, explain the ending, but after only one watch, that's the best I could come up with is I don't fucking know. I mean, I just don't. It would have made a whole lot more sense to me if Hannah wouldn't have died. If Hannah would have lived and she would have been possessed as well, and they both made their way back overseas, and they, you know, they were trying to defend Ryan there.
I think it was just more of like they needed, you know, a higher account of deaths, and
but we didn't even see it.
We didn't, but I mean, I feel like we knew it was coming. Like,
oh, when you saw her in the bathtub and she reached up and grabbed the bug, you were like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that's about it. But
she's for sure.
This is a movie I would like to revisit. But let us know in the comments, guys. What did you think of Bloat? What do you think of the ending, and how would you explain this to somebody if you were trying to explain what happened at the end of this movie? We would love to know what you guys think. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.